This area. I think this is almost one of the. And from Seattle Center, we're going to go to the Woods home and see how much we can get from Betty and maybe even get some Mita in there. And if all goes shoot out here, my sense is that we'll have to come back and do more MOS shots and not use this as everything. We'll just hopefully get some good stuff out of here and come back later. Right. Good morning. Hi. And you are?
My name is Mike Nussbaum, N-U-S-B-A-U-M.
Okay, thank you, Mike. We're here because we'd like to get your opinion on organ donations. Could you share with me your thoughts on that?
Well, to me, it's the most important thing in the world. I've been involved in this where I live in Canada, and it's, I've gone through the economics of it, the cost of a transplant versus the cost of dialysis over time, and it's economically a good thing to do. It's quality of life a good thing to do. In all respects, it's a good thing to do. And I happen to be an advocate for organ donation in Canada, and in fact, I'm trying to get a program going in Canada very similar to the UNOS program here in the U.S. So I just came back from a conference where that's exactly what I talked about.
Very good. Could you tell me what motivated you to become involved with this organ donation process?
It was actually through work. I did a project where I designed an organ donor registry, a computerized organ donor registry for British Columbia, and it kind of became a little bit passionate objective of mine because I saw all the good it was doing, and so I've been kind of advocating personally now to do this on a national basis because the waiting lists are huge, and I've known personally people who have had transplants whose quality of life has, just rocketed to the sky, and it's just such an important thing, and I've been a believer in it for some time.
Thank you. What is your sense of the feeling of organ donations in British Columbia? Are people volunteering as readily as you would like, or do you find reticence in becoming active?
Actually, there's been some studies done on this exact point, so I can talk with a bit of authority in the fact that most individuals, when asked, would gladly be an organ donor, volunteer to be an organ donor. What we're trying to work on is mechanisms by which people can do this more easily. We have the objective of the organ donor registry was to take this off the driver's license and put it on our health system. So we have universal health care in British Columbia, so therefore it's now associated with our health card and our health number, whether you want to be a donor or not. It's not, the driver's license doesn't make much sense because when you go to a hospital, they take all your stuff away and pack it away or send it home or whatever, so people just don't know. We also have really good legislation in British Columbia. Two things. One is there's an act called the Human Tissue Gift Act, which basically does not require the consent of the next of kin. So therefore, if your wishes are known and well documented as an individual, then that takes precedence over the family, who is very bereaved at the time and very difficult to basically talk about this topic. So the other thing that's happening is compulsory referral of any candidates for organ donation in the hospital. So this is legislation now that requires people in intensive care units to go through a protocol, the medical staff to go through a protocol to identify potential organ donors and make sure that any effort that is possible is made to ensure that they in fact are organ donors.
Very good. Thank you very much for that perspective.
I bet you weren't expecting all of that, were you?
No, thank you. Don't get me my left.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay. The way the organ donor registry works in BC, British Columbia, is that people get a form to fill out, and they get this when they renew their driver's license or when they renew their health card, and when they go to certain drugstore chains that have bought into this, so there's private sector involvement as well. And they get a form, and if they fill out basically their health care number. We have, because of universal health care, that identifies everybody. It's great. So they fill out their health care number, and then they basically all put down their wants and wishes in terms of organ donation, and then they sign it. And they mail it in on a postage page envelope to the BC Transplant Society. The BC Transplant Society is a provincial agency that takes care of all donation and transplantation for all of British Columbia. It's kind of a unique thing, and it allows the funds to flow and be coordinated, etc., including for the operations. What happens then is they receive these forms and they scan them into this computer system, which lifts off their healthcare number and puts us all into a database, such that if somebody is in intensive care in the far-reaching community, any hospital, they can dial a 1-800 number on the phone, and they have to identify themselves through security, and then they are asked to put in their the health number of the individual that is a potential candidate for donation. And the technology is called IVR, Interactive Voice Response, and what it does is it basically comes back and says, yes, this person's in the registry or not. If they are in the registry, then they have the ability to have it faxed to the intensive care unit in the middle of the woods. So out comes the form with the signature and everything, and then they can take this directly to the next of kin, and the next of kin can see the person's wants and wishes directly, and it's very powerful. So this just got going in 1997, and as of now, I think there's 300,000 in BC, which is about 10% of the population. So they're working towards 100%. It'll happen as the re-registration of the health cards and the re-registration of driver's licenses sort of works through. If you want to find out more about it, there's a website. It's www.bcts for BC Transplant Society.bc.ca, and there's a full description of the organ donor registry there. Okay. Fade to black.
Good stuff. I'd like to have you sign a release when we finish so we can use your image. Yeah. Here it is. Okay.
Okay, start again.
Okay, may I have your full name, please?
My name is Ronald.
Your first and last
Ronald
name.
Tyrone Allen.
Okay. Tyrone, could you tell me, are you a registered donor, organ donor?
Not really, but
Well, do you have any feelings about organ donation? Do you have any opinions you'd like to share with us?
no. If it's something that you want to do, then you should do it.
And why do you?
Something good out of that, you know.
Okay. Why do you feel that way?
Huh?
Why do you feel that if it's something you want to do, you should do it? Are you going to do it? Do you plan to do it?
Maybe sometime in the future, you know, help someone or something, you know, something like that. Yes.
So maybe sometime in the future to help someone. Okay.
At least, you know, that kind of, you know, support. Yes.
Thank you very much. Let me get you to sign this, please.
It says in Acts chapter 26, verse 18, it says, Jesus of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, you seek to kill me. That's what Jesus said to certain people in the Bible. He said, because I tell you the truth, you seek to kill me. Hey, blessed in the sight of the Lord, and homosexuals will not inherit the kingdom of God. The Bible says that a man shall not lie with womankind.
Oh, that's fine. We won't call you.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Blessed is the man who men will revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allen.
Exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they that called before you.
All right, preacher man.
Okay, let's go. Here we go up to.
Remember, I've got one eye in this thing, so
Okay.
you pay attention to our wire and the feed and our feed.
I got it. Here we go to Preacher Man, and we're going up to him, as you can see. Let's see.
Hey, you know what God says about you?
Let's go over this way.
Except the Father which has sent me, draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day.
Here we
Jesus
go.
says, you have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. Hi, how do you do?
Hi. We're making a video on organ transplants and organ donations, and
Yeah.
I'd like to know if you would like to give us your opinion about it.
I think it's
What is-
absolutely fantastic.
Okay, could you give us your full name, please?
Yeah.
We're going to ask you to sign a release
Okay.
letting us know whether or not we can use your name.
Yeah, my name is Mark Gardner, okay? And yeah, you can use my name. I'm an organ donor, and I told the guy I went down and got tested for the AIDS virus. He says, would you, and I was negative. He says, would you like to be an organ donor when I went in to get my driver's license renewal? And I think it's a great, wonderful thing. I mean, what are we going to do with our bodies when we're dead, right? Why not let somebody else have a piece of us and save someone's life? And I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to do that. I don't know, you know, maybe you want to just take it all with you.
you know, to the crematorium or to the grave. Take it all with you. Some people are buried with their diamond rings and stuff. They don't leave them to their children for an education or whatever, or give it to the poor. They want to take it all with them. The pharaohs, right? The pharaohs, right? Weren't they buried in a solid gold sarcophagus? They were buried in a solid, they took it all, and then they even took their servants with them, didn't they? They took their servants, they took their concubines and their servants and their dogs and everything, their cats, everything was buried with, they took it all with them, didn't they? Well, hey, right on, why not be an organ donor and do something good for somebody, for humanity? It's a good contribution for life. Well, how's that? Is that okay for a nice little, okay.
That's absolutely great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, have a nice day.
Thank you. Can we get you to sign this release?
Oh, sure.
please?
Yeah.
this is very good.
Let me sign your release. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Here's my pen, and there's the. Very good. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Please print. Okay.
Remember us in your prayers. We're trying to do good work.
Yeah, I will. 10:10.
I think so, or 10-9
Something
or
like
somewhere
that,
in there,
yeah.
yeah.
I think that, you know, people who commit murder and all that kind of stuff, and then they go to jail, they shouldn't be let out in 25 years or 15 years. I think that they should become property of the state, and they can receive Christ in prison, right? But they gotta pay their dues, right? And I think they should become property of the state, where the state can actually, once after they're educated, have them executed in a way where nothing's damaged, and then it goes to the hospital. Okay, kind of retribution on their crimes.
Should they have a choice in doing that, or should that just be a normal?
No, they murdered somebody. They don't have any more rights. They don't have any more rights. I mean, like day of birth. Okay, I hate to use Hitler as an example, but you know, if you didn't like it, you went up the chimney. You went up the chimney. I mean, at least these guys get to go to prison for 20 years and then they get let out, or you know, most of them just get let out. But I mean, you know, it's kind of nice where you can go to prison for 20 years before your execution and have 3 meals a day and play ping pong and baseball and chess and have a lover in your jail cell with you. Have a lover in your jail cell. How about a couple of them? Think about it. Think about it. I mean, you know what I mean? Himmler and these guys, you know, they had a quicker solution, right? They just dig a pit and throw you in it, or you know what I'm saying? And I don't know why I brought that up, but I think that they should become property of the state. They shouldn't have any rights. I mean, they committed murder. You just killed somebody, man. And I think that now we're going to get some good out of you. We're going to see if we can't get some. We're going to get some good out of you. And also, I believe in conversion. I mean, I believe in getting these guys saved. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care what they did. I mean, I believe try and get them saved, you know, in prison, and so that they can go to heaven. You know, I'm sorry about the person they killed. You know, maybe the person that they murdered went to hell. You know, it doesn't sound fair, but that's the way it is. Hey, have a nice day, okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, speed.
Okay, good afternoon. And you are?
My name's Penny Stroud.
Okay. Penny Stroud, could you give us your opinion about organ donation?
I believe strongly in it. I've ever since California had a driver's license donation process, I've been a member and have always believed in it.
What do you believe in it about?
Well, I think for the most part it doesn't do any harm to the person or the family making the donation, and for those that it makes a difference of whether they live or die, it's a critical difference. I have a daughter with cystic fibrosis, and I know at some point she may or may not need a lung transplant. And her life will depend on either me or somebody else donating a lung.
Are you aware of the registry system for donating organs?
Yes, I am.
So you're in touch for your daughter?
Right. Well, actually, I'm not. For my daughter, I work in the health industry, so I'm familiar with the donation system.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Oh, can we get your to sign?
Oh, yeah.
This? Otherwise, we couldn't use you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Good luck. What are you doing this for?
Well, we have support from the National Kidney Foundation and other organizations, so we're just...
What's the date today? The 10th?
I think it's the 10th, isn't it the 10th? Oh, Menlo Park. I'm from San Francisco, Berkeley, Oakland. Thank
There you
you
go.
very much.
Okay, good luck.
Yes.
So I came around this way a little bit because of why.
Okay, but you got his name?
No.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Hi.
Could you give me your name, please?
Yes, Kim Isaac Williams.
Okay, Mr. Williams, could you give me information as to whether or not you are an organ donor?
At this time, I'm not.
Okay. Is there any reason you aren't?
No, actually, no reason at all.
Okay. Are you aware of the fact that people are receiving organ transplants?
Yes, but not to any large degree. I don't, I see it on TV and whatnot, but I don't know anybody that's affected by organ transplants and things of that nature.
Do you have any opinions about organs transplants?
Not necessarily. I have heard of cases where there have been rejections of the donor organ or what have you in the recipients and whatnot, but I don't have any real opinion in regards to it.
Do you plan to ever become an organ donor?
I don't know. I'm a little shaky on it. I don't know. The idea of one of my organs in someone else's body is kind of foreign to me.
So is there a fear involved with this?
A little. I think anyone would have a little bit of fear of having someone else have a part of what was theirs. So yeah, just a little bit.
How would you feel about it if you were one person who needed an organ transplant?
Well, I hope someone will show sympathy. Otherwise, I have to count my losses, I suppose. But I would hope someone would be sympathetic towards my struggle.
So you would be willing to receive an organ?
Yeah. If it meant my life, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
May I get you to sign this for me, please?
Sure. Hey, what's going on, Keela?
And if you say yes, I'll ask you why. If you say no, why, and get your opinions on the organ transplant.
Okay.
People having organ transplant. And whatever opinion you give is fine.
Okay.
Okay, try to stay nice
Okay.
and close to each other, okay?
Oh, do we have to?
You have to, just like...
Where are you
Okay.
from? Okay. Let me go. Okay. Good afternoon. May I have your name, please?
My name is Liz Jones.
My name is Becky Shoemaker.
Okay, I'm here to ask you whether or not you are an organ donor.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
Okay, may I ask why you are an organ donor?
Well, I just feel like after I die, if I have an organ that can benefit someone else and help them to continue a healthy life, then I want to help them with their life. I don't need it anymore, so someone else should be able to use it.
I'm actually undecisive at this point. I've looked into it, and I have mixed feelings about the youth of donors. I know it's a good program, but I also have mixed feelings about it.
And what are your mixed feelings about it?
Well, I just really feel that sometimes things can go too far, and so that is why I have not yet. I am actually right in the middle of looking in libraries and different things about organ donors and when people can say no, when people can say yes, and the process of that.
Tell me this, if you needed an organ, what would your feelings be about receiving someone else's organ?
I've been asked that. Of course, I'm sure I would want an organ, but and that's what's really difficult. If I had to make that decision, I think the most difficult decision for me is the fact that who it is and why they died and how they died, and I don't know if I could get through that part of it and knowing that that person is in me. I'm just not sure I could deal with that. So I don't know if I would accept an organ or not. I really don't know.
Even though that person had expressed an intent to have their organs used for someone else's life.
Yes, I still don't know if I could do it. I really don't know. I think it would be a matter of when it happened, I would pray about it and I would have to decide at that point.
Thank you. And could you tell me what motivated you to consent to become a donor?
Well, I've had friends who have had cancer, who have had bone marrow transplants that have saved their life, and as I heard about that, I just thought, wow, there are people out there who are being recipients that are going on to live healthy lives, and I'm really not doing anything. This is something that I can do to make a difference. I do have a little bit of fear of, how they make the decisions. Sometimes I hear it's pretty political in hospitals about who gets the organ, so that's a concern. But I know there are plenty of children out there who are benefiting through kidneys, and now they can do the heart transplants, and so I just, I guess the same thing, I just have to trust that God would make sure it was in the right person, and hopefully it would go on to help them live a productive, healthy, good life, and not a criminal life or something like that. So
That's true.
Anyway, but yeah, it's just a way that I can help. I've tried to give blood before, and a lot of times I tend to be anemic, so I can't always give blood. So I thought, hopefully I could be an organ transplant and benefit someone someday.
Thank you very much. Thank both of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Puyallup.
Where?
Puyallup.
Oh, Puyallup.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you. Yeah. Oh, okay. You're a Washingtonian, so
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
good.
we're Washingtonians, we are.
Now you can really tell the girls what's going on here.
No, we're gonna
May I get you to
We're gonna
sign?
debate this all the way home.
I know, because I was listening to you thinking, oh, that's true.
He's still filming it.
Well, hopefully everybody else
I was
will.
actually reading the other day in a book, and it talked about that, surgeons moving people up the list and that kind of thing. And
That's why I'm under.
oh, that's kind of.
Well.
But I still think
We'll see.
overall it's a wonderful program.
I actually do too. It's just that is my biggest concern. So.
And then I'd like to get your candid remarks, if I may.
Now, are you trying to get
Originally,
funding
no.
for this program or something?
How did you know that?
I don't know.
Oh,
and I key up on it. It's really subtle, like you've been trained to live in Toledo, Ohio, like most broadcasters. But there's a sense I can tell where it's from. And I've always been able to do that. I don't know Chinese, but I've been able to spot where an Oriental, what part of the country it came from.
tell me, Northern or Southern California?
Southern.
I grew up in Southern California, but I've lived, I guess, the past 25 years in Northern, so I was curious.
Yeah, I just renewed my
First
license
thing
yesterday, so they asked me again if I was.
Did they? Okay. Yeah. Well, actually,
I guess you can't wash it
thinking
off.
about it today. Driving
No.
here. I haven't.
It's like I was born in Kansas.
And where?
Kansas.
Oh, they're probably starving and going, oh my word.
I know. Well, that's what they get.
Well, you have food for thought that you're bringing them.
That's right.
Yes,
Now we can
yes,
have
we
a
do.
lovely.
We can
Leave it
talk
to
about
me.
it. No, actually, it's a good topic. It really is a good topic.
Thank you
is.
very
Something
much,
to really
ladies.
think
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Good.
Are you trying to get funding for the program?
Yes, we
Is that
are.
what you're doing?
Yes, we are.
For the organ donor? Okay.